We look at the horizon and see a limit. We look at the stars and see infinity. But for centuries, we have forgotten to look in the most obvious direction, directly beneath our feet. History is written by those on the surface, but what if the true archive of our planet is buried deep within the crust? Today, we are not just exploring a myth. We are exploring a possibility that terrifies modern science. In 1692, Edmond Halley, the royal astronomer, stood before the scientific community with a radical idea. He calculated that Earth was too light to be a solid rock. Based on Newton's physics, something was missing. Halley proposed that the planet consisted of concentric spheres, separated by atmospheres capable of supporting life. Consider nature's design. A bone is hollow to be strong and light. Is it not possible that the Earth follows the same biological engineering? Perhaps a solid planet is an inefficient waste of matter, and we are living on merely the outer shell of a much grander structure. Fast forward to the modern era. Seismologists often encounter shadow zones where earthquake waves simply disappear. When the Great Alaskan Earthquake struck in 1964, the Earth rang like a bell for hours. Solid objects do not ring. Hollow ones do. Could these shadow zones be vast, open spaces, oceans, and atmospheres hidden from our sensors? We try to map a room by knocking on the walls, but without opening the door, our understanding remains an echo of the truth. The year is 1947. Admiral Richard E. Byrd commands a massive naval task force to Antarctica. During a reconnaissance flight, Byrd radioed back a message that defied geography. "There is no ice here. I see green valleys." Skeptics claimed it was polar madness. But if you wanted to hide a continent, wouldn't you place it at the one point where maps distort? It is plausible that he didn't fly over the pole, but into a dimensional fold where the outer surface curves inward. His diary mentions the Ariani, guardians who warned humanity about atomic weapons. Why would the military classify the ramblings of a madman for decades? The Nazis were obsessed with the occult. They mapped Neuschwabenland in Antarctica with meticulous detail. Recovered documents show maps of underwater corridors used by U-boats to navigate beneath the ice shelf. Admiral Dönitz famously spoke of an impregnable fortress built for the Führer in another part of the world. This suggests that for some, the entrance to the inner world was not spiritual, but physical, navigable, and strategic. While Americans looked to the moon, the Soviets looked down. The Kola Superdeep Borehole reached 12 kilometers. Suddenly, the drill bit began to spin wildly, as if it had fallen into a cavity. The temperature spiked to 180 degrees Celsius. Recordings from the microphones lowered into the hole captured sounds resembling the screams of thousands. Science says the equipment melted. But one might wonder, did they hit a barrier that wasn't rock, but consciousness? Perhaps we are permitted to scratch the surface, but forbidden from piercing the skin of the planet. How can life exist without the sun? The hollow Earth theory proposes a miniature star at the planetary core. If gravity emanates from the crust's mass, you would be pulled outward, standing firmly on the inner shell. Think about the aurora borealis. Science calls it solar wind reflecting off the atmosphere. But could it be light leaking from the inside? A reflection of the inner city's glow escaping through the polar openings? Ancient texts from Tibet call it Shambhala. They speak of the white lodges and teachers who retreated underground. Russian explorer Nicholas Roerich wrote of the King of the World, a being who meditates in Agartha, influencing surface events. We treat these as fairy tales, but consider the possibility that Agartha acts as a control room for humanity. Maybe surface humanity is a biological experiment left to struggle, while the control group watches us from the perfect biosphere below. What kind of society lives there? Reports describe a utopia free of disease and aging. They supposedly utilize vril energy, a limitless power source that merges machine and mind. If they are so benevolent, why don't they save us? Why let us destroy the surface? Perhaps we are the virus. Perhaps the quarantine is for their protection, not ours. They aren't hiding out of fear. They are hiding because we are dangerous. Look at Google Earth. Why are the poles patched over? Why do planes lose GPS signals near the 83rd parallel? It requires immense effort to maintain this silence. The conspiracy might not be that they are hiding land, it's that they are hiding our potential. Agartha represents the subconscious of the planet. Finding it requires a shift in how we perceive reality. So the next time you feel gravity pulling you down, remember, it might not be pulling you to the ground. It might be calling you home. Keep digging. The truth is waiting.